And welcome to Season 3, Episode 2 of Mother Mary's Prayer Channel. I'm Reverend Frances Fayden, and I'm so grateful to have you here today as we are going to be sharing sacred stories and channeled prayers to help you magnify your miracles. And you are helping to co-create a world of love, light, peace, and joy through prayer. So I'm going to light my candle. Hang on one second. Light my candle here. Offer up that candle. I'm going to put it over here on the altar. And let's begin with a prayer. Let's take a few deep breaths together. Mother, Father, God, Great Spirit of the universe, we give thanks for this time together, to gather together as Mother Mary's Prayer Channel community. We're so grateful for this opportunity to be together, and we're asking that each one of us has our inner eyes, ears, and hearts open as wide as possible, that we're able to truly see, hear, feel, and know her presence as it's being revealed to us. Of course, we know we're always surrounded and protected in a circle of brilliant white light, and into this circle, we are welcoming all of the highest beings that want to come and support us. We welcome at this time. I'm specifically and lovingly invoking the beautiful archangels and all the beings to take this message out, and that it blesses millions of people today, that they are inspired and uplifted, people all around the world. And we want to share Mother Mary's prayer poem that she gave us for the month of January. So I'm going to read it, and I'm going to pause so that you can repeat it after me if you choose to. In the stillness of winter, when all the trees are bare, I can see more clearly. I can feel you here. In this time of stillness, when the earth's asleep, I can feel you with me underneath my feet. Amen. All right, my friend. Just going to write a little note here. Feel free to leave a comment. So I wanted to share a story with you today. Actually, this past week was the Feast of the Epiphany, January 6th. And I held a very special miracle message in the Magnify Your Miracles membership, which we'd love to have you join us if you'd like to be part of a spiritual community. And it was a really powerful message about the energy of the three kings and all of that. But what really stuck with me was Mother Mary saying how important it was for each of us to commit to the energy of our own inner Christ child, that light that is within us. And we all have that light. We all have that energy within us that is that God-given amazingness, the Christ consciousness, the Christ light, however you want to call it. And that we need to take it seriously and be a guardian of it. Now, there's a time in Mother Mary's life, if you remember the story, that King Herod was in charge of the Holy Land at that time. And he was not the most evolved person. And he was very, very insecure. And Mother Mary says that King Herod represents the wounded ego. It's that part of us that is really fearful and is afraid of losing our earthly power or whatever it might be, and tries to control everything. And so if you remember the story, the three wise men come, and they come through and they say hi to King Herod, and they ask, where is this newborn king, the new king of the Jews? And he is appalled because he thinks that that's his job, and who dare threaten him? You know, that's that voice in our head like, uh-oh, I'm going to lose something that really matters to me. And so he pretends that he is very interested in finding out so that he can go and worship as well. And then the three kings go on their way. They're following their intuition. They don't follow anybody else's path. They're following their own intuition, which we call the star, and they come across the Holy Family. Of course, they bring the gifts. We know that story, the gifts of the gold, the frankincense, and the myrrh. But then they also let the Holy Family know that um, you know, King Herod isn't really in his right mind. And then St. Joseph also has a dream where an angel says to him, "You got to get your family out of Nazareth because it's not safe." And then the three wise men go home a different way because they know that King Herod is out of his mind. And he becomes even more angry when he finds out that they don't come back to acknowledge him. And then he gives the terrible, terrible decree, the terrible, horrific decree that all male children under the age of two. So at this point, we think Jesus may be a few months old or so, all male. So, oh my God. And so this is what happened. And this is what the wounded ego does. It's trying to control everything. Mother Mary says that this was a really scary time in her life. And she wanted me to share it with you because it could kind of get glossed over a little bit that they had to pack up their lives and flee to protect her child and to protect her family and go to another country. So we don't really think about Mother Mary, St. Joseph, and even Jesus being refugees. It's not really talked about that much. There's so much fear in our culture around immigrants and refugees and all of that. And yet, our own Holy Family, Mother Mary's Holy Family, fits in that category, and that she would do anything to protect her family. And what did she do? She went to Egypt, a place that was totally foreign to her family, and made a home there for a few years until it was safe to go back. Now, I'm telling you this story for a couple of reasons. One is, do you have that level of commitment to your own well-being? Do you have that level of commitment to your own inner light, to that Christ child that lives within you? Do you protect it? Are you willing to do whatever it takes to grow that light, to make sure that it's fed and it's nourished and that it's safe? That's the first thing. And then the second thing is, are you in a situation, by any chance, are you in a situation that doesn't feel safe to you? And have you been telling yourself a story such as, "Oh, I should be able to handle it. It's not a big deal. If I was more spiritual, wouldn't bother me." I've heard a lot of my clients over the years talk about this and say things like, maybe they're in an abusive relationship, or they have an abusive boss at their job, or whatever it might be. And they'll often say to me, "Shouldn't I be able to handle this? If I was more spiritual, like, I should be able to rise above, these, whatever these circumstances are." And I look at them and I say, "Well, maybe, but I don't consider myself to be more spiritual than Mother Mary necessarily." And she got out of town. She left Nazareth. She didn't stay and say, "Let me learn how to love King Herod. Let me forgive him for his abuses." She might have done that in Egypt once she was out of harm's way, but she did not stay in a dangerous situation and try to kind of talk herself out of it. To me, that's called spiritual bypassing, is when you're not looking at things realistically. Now, I'm sure she wasn't in Egypt, cursing the man's name, but I'm sure she had a lot of sorrow and also a lot of compassion, knowing that how out of your mind do you need to be to have a decree as horrific as that? How out of your mind do you need to be? How disconnected from your heart do you need to be? And I'm sure she was able to develop a level of compassion, but that doesn't mean she put herself or her family in harm's way. So I really want you to think about that. Think about this chapter in Mother Mary's life. There's so little about her actually in the Bible, but the little bit that we have is so important and so telling. And of course, we have great mystics who through the years have been able to channel more information about Mother Mary's life. It's so, so valuable. And I'm grateful every time I do any of my own channeling sessions. I learn something because I'm really just listening for what she's telling me. And it's often things I've never heard before. So she's wanting me to ask you today, what is your King Herod? Or who is your King Herod? That King Herod energy in your life might be an addiction. It might be, low self esteem that's causing you to make poor choices with your money, with your health, whatever it might be. Take a look at that. What is the King Herod in your life? The thing that is not out for your best. It's actually trying to pull you down. And recognize that that energy tries to control circumstances because it's just coming from fear. And what can you do today to get yourself out of Nazareth and into Egypt until that King Herod energy either dies off or is under control? So I've often heard people say when they're dealing with an addiction, sometimes they can't be around the friends they used to hang around. They can't go to the places they used to go until they get to the point where maybe they can go out and hear live music and it's not going to bother them that people are around them or drinking, whatever. But maybe they're never going to go and hang out with that friend that was always encouraging them to drink more or take more drugs or whatever it might be. Really take a look at that King Herod energy in your life. Where is it showing up? Some people call it the energy of self-sabotage. Sometimes it actually might be an abusive energy. One of the things I've had to do for myself, and you've heard me talk about this before, is really, really limit any time with the media in terms of news outlets, especially. They don't have my best interests at heart. I know that. They're trying to get their ratings up and they scare us so that we keep watching. That's not good for me. That's not going to help me. So I get my news from other sources that are not sensational, and I don't do it every day. I get what I need, let it go. That's what I encourage you to do as well. Take a look at what are the things that bring up fear for you in your life, and what can you do to remove yourself from those situations. Now, it's an interesting part of this story is that, Saint Joseph in the the story of Jesus is an interesting character because in the beginning, he didn't believe any of this. He's a very devout man. But when Mother Mary said, I have some news for you, you're part of the plan, but I have this relationship with the Holy Spirit that is going to bring forth this miracle. He was like, oh no, I do not think so. And he didn't know what to do because he knew that the law was such that she was going to be punished. She was going to be stoned to death. And he didn't want to do that because he's a good man and a kind man. And yet, if he followed the letter of the law, Mother Mary would not have been around to bring forth that miracle into the world. It's really important. I think it's one of the most important things about the life of Jesus. So much of that time period was about following the letter of the law. And even the way that he comes into the world was breaking that rule. If people had followed the letter of the law, he might not have ever been able to come into the world. So it's a really important lesson for all of us. So St. Joseph, out of his own heart and compassion, is looking for an alternative. And what happens is he has a dream. And in that dream, he's visited by an angel. His own intuition is starting to develop. And that angel gives him all the information he needs. Now, he could have woken up and been like, oh, that was just a dream. But he didn't do that. He woke up and he was like, oh, what Mary's telling me is the truth. I needed to know it from myself. There's nothing wrong with that. I needed to know it for myself, but what she's telling me is the truth. Okay, I'm gonna listen. And then the same thing happened again when all of their lives were in danger. I got to get my family out of here. So please follow your own intuition, whatever that might be. Really take a look at that King Herod energy in your life. And what would Egypt be like for you? What would your safe haven be? Is it going to a 12-step meeting? Is it, leaving a situation with an abusive boss and finding a different job? Is it, leaving a relationship that's not working for you? Is it setting some boundaries, with people that you care about, but maybe you need to kind of do some things? Is it maybe letting yourself pray a little bit more and ask for that guidance, ask for that intuition to really start to expand for you? Whatever that is for you, I highly encourage you to take a look at this particular chapter of Mother Mary's life and see, how does it relate to you? And then also, how does it relate to other people? Do it for yourself first. But I know for me, every time I think about Mother Mary as a refugee, my heart softens to the people all around the world, and even here in my own country, that are refugees. And they just want to be safe. They're just seeking that energy of safety. And my heart goes out to immigrants and other people who are trying to follow their own inner guidance and have something better for their families. Now, I'm not saying I have the answer to all of these things, but on the inside, there's a softening and a recognizing, like, that could be Mother Mary at the border. What if they didn't get in? What if Egypt said, sorry, you can't come in? What would have happened? Again, I don't have the answers, but it gives me a different feeling in my heart when I think about it. And I think that's what's really important, is as we change our hearts, the answers will come. Answers will come. That's what St. Joseph is teaching us. As he went to his heart and said, oh, I don't know about this, but I can't let something really horrible happen to Mary. I care about her way too much. He went to his heart, and an answer came in the form of a dream. It's a lesson for all of us. When we soften our hearts, when we get out of either or, which really is the King Herod energy, it's the ego. Yes, no, there's only one way. When we let that go, when we soften and we come into our hearts, suddenly an answer comes in a way that we could not have imagined. So that's the story, my friend, that I really wanted to share with you today, that Mother Mary asked me to share. And I would love for you to think about that. Think about these characters. I love to think about the characters and how are we these characters? And have you ever faced something like that? It doesn't have to be literally, that your life was in danger. But have you ever faced something where it was really challenging and you didn't know what to do? Take heart and know that Mother Mary has gone through these things with you, and she's walking through them with you right now. Right now, she's walking with you. So I'd love to know your thoughts about this story, if you could relate to it. And any comments that you have, feel free to leave a message in the comments. I always answer anything left in the comments. And until next time, my friend, thank you so much for helping us to co-create a world of light, love, peace, and joy through prayer, as Mother Mary has asked us to. If you did like this episode, feel free to subscribe if you're on YouTube, and feel free to share it with your friends. That would really help us so much. God bless you, my friend. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.